I'm Devoted, and this is Small Talk with Devoted, and I'm absolutely stoked to have the guest that I have on the show today. This is two-time Olympic athlete John Farrow, and he has a really amazing story that he's going to share with y'all today. And I wanted to also shout out Jason Stevenson on the music playing here. This is from his copyrighted catalog, so wanted to throw that in there. So John, how you doing this morning, man?
Doing good, man. Over in Australia here, nice and early. Good little bit of sleep last night, and yeah, man, taking it easy in quarantine. Good to be able to talk with you, man. Got some time aside to do this stuff.
How did you feel about me hitting you up at 4 in the morning for testing?
Oh man, I'm like a little jet lag from coming back from the States anyway. So I was up, but just in that zone where you're not really thinking. So you're like, oh, let's jump on, do this, do that. I was like, feel for a bit. We'll
Yeah,
get that
man. I was so lost in cyberspace and such, man. It totally eluded me.
What it takes sometimes, man, getting lost in that stuff so you can get it done, but you obviously got it done, so good job.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. That was quite a task. So let's jump right in here, man. Also, yeah, I just want to say, I've had the distinct pleasure of chopping it up with John, on a few occasions, in some pretty deep depth, and he's a very dense, very very enthusiastic man, and yeah, I got nothing but love and appreciation for you, man. Jason just threw a comment. Hey guys.
Hey, what's up, Jason?
Yeah, man. And Jane Cooper, which is his close friend, but yeah. So tell us about your childhood, man. Give us the go from the go,
Man, childhood. Yeah, for me, in Australia, basically, childhood. I guess right now, even was always about sport. Kids are so wonderful that they don't have these other shells and masks that they wear. They're just themselves. And for me growing up, I just loved sport. Never really was into school or learning anything academically as such. But the second I could get out of school and go play some kind of activity, whether it's riding my bike or playing with my friends, those are probably my best memories from growing up. Sport for me growing up was rugby league, which you guys in the States don't really have, but obviously it's a form of football that is quite physical, a lot of team vibe there, and I played that up until I was about 20, and that was my real joy growing up. From 6 years old, I remember getting up, man, early morning, putting my boots on, annoying my parents just to go play sport. And that carried through, man. Obviously, what we like to do, what we're passionate about, usually can be found at an early age, and then how we develop that, it's kind of up to us in our life. But yeah, my early days, man, was definitely all about sport.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what got you into your specific field? The arena that you delved into in the games.
Yeah, well, it's like what I do in the games, and it was called Skeleton, or still is called Skeleton, which is such a weird name. No one really knows what it is until you describe it to them. You say, oh yeah, I do skeleton. It just throws out all types of weird images, right? But skeleton, you have to explain you've seen the movie Cool Runnings. Oh yeah, bobsled. Yeah, it's like bobsled. But we're on our own sled and we go head first down the track. So most people have kind of seen clips of it or little glimpses of it, but don't really know what it is. So yeah, for everyone out there, skeleton, sprint at the start, jump on your sled by yourself, and go down a bobsled track. Second question being Australian, it's like, how the hell did you get into that? We don't have snow here. It's freaking beautiful all year round, right? So how I did get into that path once you actually kind of step it out, it's quite logical if you follow those steps. Basically, as an athlete doing sports all the time, I did rugby league. I was contracted to play rugby league. That kind of high pressure and performance, then, I wasn't good enough to make it at that. So I moved on to another sport, which I loved, which was mountain biking. So mountain biking in Australia, lots of open space, lots of bush and trails. And that really like gave me the opportunity to get out in nature and discover myself and my individual performance, right? It's just one on the bike. And then I could actually bring that out into, maybe an arena that wasn't so under scrutiny. It was just, you go ride through the bush. So yeah, obviously being an athlete, love that competition side, love that performance side. Started doing mountain biking to the point where I could go overseas and race in World Cups and take it to the top level. And I competed in downhill mountain biking for about 6 years. So downhill mountain biking, start at the top of a hill, you go through a track, do corners, get to the bottom of the hill. If you get there the fastest, you win. So skeleton, knowing the background of that sport, start at the top of the hill, go down a track as fast as possible, get to the bottom, you win. Exact same sport. The only difference is, it's snow and ice rather than, dirt and sun. So the actual transition into skeleton was quite easy. How I got into it, the acquired skill was there. But basically, how it all came about was quite synchronistic. We're not really in that environment in Australia. I was in Whistler in Canada, where they were all getting hyped up for the Olympics in 2010. And Whistler's a mountain bike mecca. Everyone's there, big competitions. I was there with my race team in 2008. Suffered some big injuries that year. I wasn't able to ride. I had about 18 screws in my shoulder. All repaired that up to piece that back together. So I was looking for other things to do to keep my mind off not being able to compete in mountain biking while all my friends and my team were out there having the time of their life in Whistler. And one of those things that I came across was recruiters for bobsled and skeleton, like Canadians, showcasing the sport, lots of hype about the Olympics. And like once I'd kind of seen that stuff, I was like, man, this is awesome, and this sport looks badass, right? Like this is something I could do. So I just hit him up, man, and it was just kind of one of those moments where it was like, you know what, I've had a few bad injuries in mountain biking. Downhill mountain biking is an Olympic. Am I really going to be good enough to make it in this? Which I was doubting myself anyway, because I just didn't have the talent for it. We all have different skills and talents. Looking back, I was like, you know what? This other sport here is a chance that I could combine the running side of my early days being a fast football athlete, strength and power, and then combine the artistic skill or the mental skill of navigating gravity on a tool, which was the sled, which I'd learned in mountain biking. And it was just one of those chances, man. You gotta jump at it. And so 3 months after that, man, I flew to Calgary in Canada, freezing my ass off. Like, man, no clue what I was doing. Went from 6 years endless summer into, minus 40 and chipping ice off windscreens. I didn't have a clue how people lived in that crap, right? But fell in love with the sport, and just took it to the Olympics from there. So that's kind of my pathway into that, which I hope you can kind of see the transition there, even if it's a little weird.
Yeah. How old did you say you were when you got into skeleton?
26.
26.
26 years old.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty deep, that kind of number age. There's that whole 27 club, which in artists and lots of people is pretty famous. And it's my personal belief around that age is a sign of maturity age, where we either on our path to what we need to accomplish, or we kind of fade away. It might be a bit of a pessimistic view, but I think there is some truth or some kind of mystery to that 27 club, that 27 age.
Sorry about that, folks. We had a technical difficulty and lost the feed there for a few minutes. Yeah, such is life. So yeah, that's nothing to what John Farrow's been through. So tell me, let's see here. Okay. Cool, right on. Jason's right on top of things. Thank you so much, Jason. You're such a godsend, man. Jesus. That's so cool, man. I'm glad I got friends in low places like Garth Brooks. Anyway, so yeah, so tell us about how you got by, financially and all this, man. How did you make it through all of this?
In skeleton?
Yeah, well, in general, and really, I also just wanted to ask you, like, what does it entail to go to the Olympics in and of itself, man? I mean, like, how do you tap into that circuit?
Man, it's weird once again for Australia, but Australia had a pretty damn well funded national skeleton team. So obviously to start with, it was just my normal working, my jobs to get my equipment, to try it, to do it. But after about 2 years, once I started getting success and I qualified for world champs, man, the Australian government sent me like $5,000 over for that event. Which is a pretty funny story. I wasn't going to go to it because I only had €70 left in my wallet. I was in Italy, and my Slovenian friend was like, "Oh, I can drop you at Venice." And I had to get back to Innsbruck. I had a friend in Austria. And I was like, "Oh, man, that's the best I can do. I got €70. I'll try to get a train back." And I couldn't get a train till like 2 a.m. So I ended up sleeping on my sled on Venice train station, about -2, a little bit of snow around, like kind of homeless, right? Like those little battles that you remember and you go through. And the funniest thing, I remember I tried to buy a train ticket and it was €77. And I only had 70. And so I waited till night and I snuck through and got on the train for free. But then there was a ticket collector. And I was just like, "Oh, well, dude, time's up. Well, I tried my best, kick me off. Like, what are you going to do, bro?" And he just like, "What can you do?" Right? So, I made it back to Austria. I got that train ride free, and then got a call from the government saying, "Here's another 5G. Universe is funny like that. If you need to do something, those things will show up." But after that World Champs, man, we had a funded team. Like we had coaches, we had equipment paid for. So, a couple years struggle, and then I got a little bit of help. And then once 2014 Olympics happened, we lost that government funding, and then I had to go about sort of marketing myself a little bit, and met some really awesome sponsors, some guys that I met through mountain biking, who just kind of vibed with and helped me on that journey and came along with me, who kind of commercially funded for me to get to 2018. So 2 very different things there, capitalism and socialism funding, depending on which cycle I was in.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite interesting, man. Was it was it just a trip to you, like experiencing all of that, just trusting in the process and allowing for it to unfold as it?
Yeah, man. I mean, looking back, definitely you look back and think, how the hell did that happen? Going through it, oh man, like you can't think, like you can't, when you try any sort of performance or any sort of achievement, has to be a natural state, which a lot of people confuse with performance or don't understand. We're taught in our schooling system, the harder you work, the more you achieve. And it couldn't be further from the freaking truth. The harder you work, the more skills you'll set up yourself. Achievement comes back to a confidence and a letting go that it's already there, so it's going to happen. So look, yeah, like when you say it was a trip, man, going through it, I didn't think. You turn that brain off, prepare, and then allow. So got like looking back, definitely a trip. The shit that went down, the stuff that went on, man, like I still remember sleeping on that train station at 2 a.m. and think I was going to freeze. There's constant stories like that of just trying to make stuff happen. But in the moment, man, I definitely wasn't too trippy. Just sort of managed and did what you could, and it unfolds how it needs to be.
Would you suggest that it was perhaps a state of self-preservation in its own right, like just preserving your soul where you were intended to go in life?
Man, it's so hard. Like, there's so many theories about this kind of stuff, and the reality of it is we don't really know. We just got to kind of allow. So, any speculation on that, definitely the fact that I'm in the position I am now wouldn't happen if I didn't go through there. Was that sort of like a soul path, or was that a creation from me, wanting to do something with my life? Like, man, who knows, man? You can speculate, but do we really know? Is there a journey we're meant to be on, or do we create our own journeys, our own challenges? I'm just happy that, I've got the ability to listen, and the confidence of however I was raised or whatever I did, to have the confidence to take on that risk and go on that ride. The unknown of self-potential is crippling to people. I think people push it down a lot, and it's not talked about. Man, why I was walking through the village in Whistler one day and ran into people that gave me the right information is something that we probably all go through on a daily basis. But why I chose to jump into that, I'm just glad that I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you have a lot of family support in where?
Oh man, man, my family loved what I did. Like, my mum's been a huge fan of sports her whole life. On the flip side, my dad, he's never really liked sports. He's been on the side of like, go to college, get a degree, get a career. That kind of protector role that father fulfills, the stereotypical role, which is his way of showing love for me. So, dad typically didn't like it, right? Mum was all about it. So what kind of support did we do? When I eventually got to Pyeongchang, dad was starting to enjoy the ride, he supported me in his way. Mum supported me in her way. My brother, any family I had, they all support. Relationships in terms of friends, like in Korea in 2018, some of my best friends came over to watch me and support me. So, everyone shows love in their own way, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a way that you might define. You take the best pieces and build the support to achieve what you want to in your life. So, yeah, man, family support's a big, multifaceted, beast.
Definitely, yeah. So you had said earlier, before we got cut off there, that you had sustained an injury while mountain biking. Is that?
I have many an injury.
Yeah, well, I'm sure, but specifically, you said you had. You said you had like 18 screws in your shoulder or something.
Yeah, so that's one thing that kind of put me on the path to getting rid of mountain biking. Is 2007 in Queensland, Australia. I I hit a rock and I flipped upside down, hit a tree, and I shattered my right scapular shoulder blade into 5 pieces. And, came back from that injury. And then 2008, when in Canada, I hit my left shoulder and shattered that into 4 pieces or something with all the screws in it. And man, these scapulars are big damn bones, right? Every doctor was sort of like, how the hell does this happen? Normally like a collarbone will go or a smaller bone, but these were the big structures. And so it was quite a shock for those injuries. And I was like, after doing the second one, I'm sort of like, oh man, maybe I should think about something else, like 2 freak accidents. Definitely, that kind of second scapular injury was something where I was like, let's start getting out of this, because I can't take too much more of it. Like, you come back from one injury, yeah, fair enough, but then you get the same kind of injury. It's like you're willing to go through all that torment and hurt and hard work to rehabilitate for it maybe to happen again.
Yeah. So you... Wow, that's crazy, man. That's crazy to even just think about. I'm just processing that myself.
Yeah, man, you it's like, you get one chance and you rehab yourself, and it shows that you've got strength and drive, and then it happens again, and it's like maybe it was a sign. Who knows, right? But yeah, to me, it was definitely a big thing. Like, fuck, twice? I'm not going to go for a third time. If someone screws you over once, you're like, all right, I'll give you a chance. They screw you over again, you're like, get out of here.
Yeah, well,
Confirmation.
Third time's the charm, right?
And I don't know. In giving people chances or injuries, or a lot of time, third time, give people 3 chances, you're an idiot.
Fair enough, right? So tell us about your insurmountable injury that you sustained, man.
Yeah, I mean, like then, I had a big injury probably before the shoulder blades of my wrist, which was one that kept me off the bike for 18 months and 3 surgeries, which is probably the hardest injury I had to go through personally, before the shoulder blades. But then going into skeleton, I did a massive knee injury as well, busting up ACL, LCL, and PCL, which is, the knee has 4 main ligaments, 2 on the side and 2 that cross in the middle. The ACL and PCL in the middle, you got LCL and MCL on the sides, and I busted 3 of them. So it was just the knees hanging on by 1 ligament. And then the muscles that keep it together, the hamstring, blew that off. There was a popliteal, which is a small muscle in the knee, which was ripped off. And then my tibia was fractured, which is pretty common from an ACL tear. But the thing was bent sideways, basically. If you see you got your femur come down, and then my knee was 90 degrees this way, so it was just opened up. Yeah, dude, that one was tough. Come back from that. That was about 3 surgeries. Screwing the hamstring back on, getting cadaver tendons, which is basically organ donor tendons, because there's so much damage, you can't graft anything. You've got to pull a new tendon out of an organ donor and rebuild the knee with it. So I think my MCL, I think it was LCL, sorry, was rebuilt with a hamstring, someone's hamstring, and my ACL was rebuilt with an Achilles tendon, which is super, super tough tissue in the body to kind of rebuild the knee so that it would actually be normal again. And my doctor at the time was the US Olympic doctor, and he was like, oh man, I don't normally do this, but we could probably wrap this hamstring twice and make it super tough. If you want to do that, I was like, let's go, let's do all the stuff you want, So, I had the right doctors piecing that together. So my knee came back pretty strong, actually really strong. Amazing how well that was rebuilt. The issue with that is that there's a nervous system, in the body as well. And it's where people, if they have, a spinal injury, you can't feel anything because that nerve's either been severed or damaged or whatever. And the leg has a main one as well as the peroneal nerve. So that large piece of nerve was stretched, was bent off with everything. So every bit of feeling was gone from my body from the knee down. So like my foot was just a dead bit of meat. Like there was no sensation or no feeling with that, that was the really hard thing to overcome, the unknown of that, like rebuilding tissue and all this elective surgery we have. The doctor's pretty good at it now, but nervous system, man, like spinal damage and that kind of thing, there's so much unknowns. There's like, can it repair? How does it repair? And there's still a lot of work out on neuroplasticity. If anyone wants to sort of look up on that, is that it was sort of thought before that once you cut that channel from the brain and those kind of thought patterns of motor skills, once you cut that off, it couldn't work, right? People having strokes and stuff. There's all this research now of being able to retrain that brain, and that new pathways can then find a way to make those motor skills happen again. And in my case, dude, like most doctors were just like, you'll be lucky to walk again. We don't know what'll happen here. Like nerves repair a millimeter a day, or they don't repair, or they do repair. Man, huge unknown. So, it was like 2011, I think 2011, that happened. And yeah, that was just wild, man. What do you go from being an athlete all your life to not being able to walk? How does someone take that? There's a lot of people that have to deal with that, and but the emotional roller coaster or ride that you go through. The knee injury wasn't anything. It was the paralyzed nerve that was the tough part.
Yeah, Jane Cooper put in the comments here, she asked, where do you find the motivation to keep going after the accident? Your strength is amazing.
Well, I know Jane from Australia, so hey Jane, what's up? Man, I don't know. That's a question of where you are in life. Like looking back, like I'm talking about looking back before, if I look back how long that sort of would have been, how kind of struggling would have I gone on that journey? Maybe not. There was 2 injuries before that where I wasn't strong enough. Rugby league, I had a shoulder injury. I kept dislocating my shoulder and I couldn't come back. I didn't have the strength. I had transferred to another sport. And then mountain biking, I had 2 injuries there and I gave up on that too. So saying that I've been the strongest, definitely this one instance is an example of strength, but lots of times before that there wasn't enough strength there. I think with this one, the difference was that I was sort of fed up or running out of time to find new options, that sort of burning of the boats mentality where if this is done, that's it. We go back to talking about that 27 age, like I'm not going to be able to have time to go into another career and reach an elite level at, what was I then, 29 or something. That's it. So the strength was kind of created from an urgency, maybe not a personal trait, right? I don't want, when people say, oh, you're strong, you've done this, maybe not, and that's still out. There's lots of examples of failure before you succeed, and this was definitely from an urgency that I'd been an athlete all my life, and you either give up now or you try and get through it, and I wasn't ready to give up. Simple as that.
Jason asked, was there times when you did want to throw the towel in, darker days?
Dude, every day, man, every day. And you know, like it's up and down. It's waves, man. Every day, like a couple of times, I remember like this simple little one. I was fucking, man. I remember getting out of my bed, and my bed was, so it was my left leg, and my bed was on the right, and I'd step out with my left leg, and I had all this closet, all this stuff on the left, and you forget, man, like this feeling of knee down is like, you know, when you wake up and you can't move your arm because you've been sleeping on it wrong.
Sure.
And then it takes a while for it to all come back. You know, when you've been walking your whole life, you don't like instantly wake up from sleep and, oh, that's right, I can't walk. And so I'd like got up to go to the toilet, right? I need to have a piss. And so I was like, just throw the bed off. And I stepped out of the bed and I went to step down, but I had nothing there. And I just collapsed and tumbled into my shelves. The shelves fell on top of me, and I just saw this shit fell on top of me. And I just fucking broke down, dude. Just broke down. I was like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. I don't fucking handle it. You know, I just sat there sort of crying and moping to myself. And then obviously you're like, all right, well, I better get up and clean this shit and go have this piss. get on with the show.
Oh, man.
You know, another one, simple sensations, dude. Like, you know, I had to have this big support on my leg, this big AFO, which kept my foot in place or enabled me to hold anything. And it was like putting on this big clunky contraption. And so I'd never been able to, like, I couldn't walk barefooted, right? And I remember the first time that I started, like, I did that again, and I could feel like the sand in my toes or the grass between my feet. These like such simple sensations we take for granted every day. This rootedness with the earth. You know, you have those times where you just want that again, or I wanted to go swim in the beach, or I wanted to walk on the sand, or I wanted to ride my bike, or yeah, man, there's like big waves of up and down. You got to kind of snap out of that. It doesn't serve you any good, but man, it's easier said than done.
Yeah. So, tell us about the 14 and 18 games, man. Like, I mean, just
yeah.
Did you make a lot of connections at the Olympic? I mean, are you friends with other Olympic athletes and such? And...
Oh, man. Yeah, the Olympic, like the athletes, man, we tour together all the time, right? It's like a traveling circus. You know, 1 week we're in Austria, 1 week we're in Italy, 1 week we're in here, 1 week we're in there. Realistically, we're just in another hotel room with the same bunch of clowns having a beer or, you know, going to the gym or talking. And then we get on the show and we compete. You know, that's like the show. And then we go back to our real selves. So, man, huge connections from the Olympics. Like, I love everyone that I met there and made a lot of lifelong connections. The 2014 and 2018 Olympics were super different for me in obviously where I was as an athlete and obviously what I was trying to achieve as a person. In the 2018 Olympics, I was a father, you know, so I had a daughter. 2014 Olympics, I was just trying to discover myself, just trying to prove something to myself, right? You know, this kind of, I'm not good enough. I've got to prove. Which drives so many athletes or so many people. So two very different mindsets. I would say the 2014 Olympics was the bigger accomplishment for me, and came with those waves of bliss. Man, how do I describe performance or like any sort of athletic achievement isn't always about the gold medal. And the more you can make it about your internal goal, the more you'll have those kind of waves of self-love and those waves of self-accomplishment. So 2014 just became about coming back, overcoming the injury, not giving up, something that I'd failed at for so long. So I was 31 when that happened, and 2014 that was fulfilled. You know, 2018 had a different different goal and a different sort of feel to it. I definitely put myself to a personal result and an achievement rather than a personal best or a feeling in that moment. 2014 had the pressure off because the achievement was to go to the games or at least qualify for the games. And so then I was able to perform. But then going to 2018, it was a result at the games. And I think my performance suffered a little bit with that pressure. That's a lot of the coaching that I try to teach now is people trying to achieve their goals, and their performance isn't necessarily about that external goal. And the more you can remove that from the situation, the more performance or higher self you're going to bring out in that moment. I've lived both sides of that, the not achieving and the achieving, the feelings, the mindset, everything that comes along with that. And so definitely the 2014, 2018 Olympics taught me so many things of different facets and how to go about achieving those goals.
Yeah. So I'm just curious myself, John. Like you, I mean, you made it back from something just amazingly, challenging, right? I mean, I don't think anybody would deny that. Do you like what do you find to be your highest self, man? Do you have a connection, to a higher power, so to speak, or because you also seem very ethical and logical to me as well. So I'm just curious what your balance is there.
Totally have bases in reality and bases in spirituality and both sides of that coin. I don't fall into any label, would be a way of putting it. I don't like to label anything you do. If you want to say what falls into your highest self, would be self-love, man, happiness. Personally, goals and achievements are different labels and different sort of situations that we roll through to achieve a internal feeling, and that internal feeling can be masked in whatever way the reality shows it, but the internal side of it, only we know that is higher self. I've got I was talking to a friend the other day. You have those feelings of when you first meet someone, you first start falling in love with them, right? And there's that kind of bliss that falls over you, and we all feel that when we project it onto some other person, because sometimes they fulfill a part of ourselves that we can't, right? And they make us feel a little whole, and we get these kind of waves of bliss, but we've attached it to an external reality. Now, when you sense that higher self and that self-fulfillment and that connection within what you're doing and your path and what you're taking on, those same blissful waves overcome your body as well. That same emotion starts to fulfill you. And to me, that would be higher self, no matter what sort of costume or whatever shape it takes. I would say most athletes feel it in way of the zone of thoughtlessness, and then they're able to perform at a higher self, and that is definitely a feeling I've felt a few times in my life, and once was in the Sochi Olympics, and then Pyeongchang Olympics. I wasn't able to reach that state. So whatever way anyone puts it, whether it's a performance as a show, like your field is, where you can feel that self-love and those waves of emotion come over you, or if it's someone, man, running a marathon for the first time without any external connection to it, just the actual moment of doing it, not even athletically, like if it's anything I could put out so many things of goals, what people feel that they want to do. Man, singing, writing a book, playing playing handball, anything. You know,
Right.
if
Yeah,
you
sure. Yeah.
feel in that moment those sort of emotions, you can be living in a higher self. So I talk to people, we coach a lot about the hero's journey, you know, that kind of cycle of you've got to kind of go down and then come back up to realize the whole side of who you are. And once you feel those pieces in yourself going through that cycle, you'll feel that feeling. Whereas if you put it onto external things like, you know, thinking you love someone else when it's really codependency or an attachment, or you put it onto a gold medal at the Olympics, or you put it onto you know, 1 million YouTube subscribers, or whatever you put this external stuff on, that'll create suffering and pain in the end, because you can't hold on to it because it's in the control of something outside of yourself. But if you can take that inside of yourself and feel that internal peace and navigate through this world to build those pieces yourself, then you'll feel that higher self. My take on it.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, man. That's beautifully said. So, what are you doing in your career at this time? Actually, let me backtrack for 1 second. I just want to ask, like, so as far as the Olympics are concerned, you get sponsored. Is that essentially how you get through?
Well, there's 2 ways to do it. Most Olympic sports are nationalized, right? You wear your national colors. We're not allowed to put sponsors. We're not allowed to put these things on our suits, which is the corporate side of it, right?
Sure.
So when you look at the Olympics, most people representing their nation, they're not representing Oakley, you know? So funding, there's a lot of funding that comes from national representation. The other side of it is that these sports are then monetized in the World Cups and the qualifying events leading up to it, where you can wear sponsors' logos, you can sell product. So, you know, I've done both sides of that. I've been able to, you know, put logos on my suit and advertise, and then being able to be paid from my nation to do a job, basically.
Did it much matter to you either way that you were doing it? Did you have a preference between the two?
Performance-wise and internal-wise, the national way, for sure. Once you fulfill that internal-wise, the giving back to others, the corporate way, for sure. The capitalist way, because you can bring other people on the journey with you, right? The big, you know, you can bring individuals, right? Like having the nation support you is great, but you don't get to know that person. You know, you feel the support, you're wearing the national colors. It's an amazingly beautiful thing, right? But the nation is just it's just a flag and colors and a group of collective people put together as an entity. Whereas, you know, corporations, when they get quite big, are like that as well. But you can definitely meet up with an owner. You can meet up and have a relationship with people within that organization, and that's a more in tuneness with an individual, which is quite powerful as well. So once you fulfill yourself, I feel like this journey that everyone's going to go on, that they have to have some self-realization, who they are, what they want to achieve. The next step or the next movement in life would be to share that with others, you know. And if you want to break those two up, that's how I would say I enjoyed the fact that I could work on myself to 2014. It was all about me. But then moving on from that, I could definitely bring others on the journey with me and share that and inspire in a lot more personal way with you know, corporate sponsors than national sponsors.
Yeah, no, very interesting stuff, man. It's just the whole, you know, everything has its pros and cons, right? Any which way you slice it.
Yeah, man. Many options available to us in this world, you know. There's no rule book written for what you can and can't do.
So what are you doing today, John? Your coaching, etc. Like, give us a breakdown of that.
Today, man, I'm in like a lockdown in Australia, right? So when we fly in Australia, we have to be put down in 14 days in a hotel room. We can't leave the hotel room. So basically, this is back to skill development, like I would see as training. I'm trying to build websites, and I'm trying to talk to people about things on the outside. I'm trying to lay skills while I'm in this lockdown that then when you go out and experience is a natural sort of state. So today, man, is just I'm learning how to do email sort of marketing campaigns, and brushing up on my skills.
What is the basis of your websites and such? Are they your own personal get up?
Yeah, everything I do is through a business of mine, which is basically moving from athlete into coaching.
Yeah.
You can't be an athlete all your life, and I think there is a very important part to recycling and passing on knowledge to the next generation, not the next generation, but the next person on that journey, right? There's a giving back. We can't just die with all our gold, right? So now is basically all those lessons that I've been able to experience and learn is pass on to the next one, so that then we can evolve, so that person doesn't have to start from scratch, and then they can overtake me or whatever I achieved. This kind of dance that we do with the universe is an important learn, give back, learn, give back. We see that in nature all the time with evolution. We see that with flowers and cycles and seasons. It's a natural law. So personally, I feel really happy with my journey and where I did what I did as an athlete, and now it's a transition time into passing on those skills. So, I'm a qualified mountain bike coach. I do one-on-one sessions, mountain biking, groups, tours. I do performance coaching, skeleton coaching, any little piece of skill that I can build to other people. That's where I'm moving now.
Gotcha. So are any of your students preparing for the Olympics?
Man, have you seen what's going on out there? No one's preparing for anything.
Well, fair enough. I mean, I get that side of things, but I mean,
Oh man, I would hate to be a summer athlete right now. Like, in all honesty, like it would be so tough emotionally what those guys are going through. But I think the challenge of what they're going through will develop them so much more than the challenge of an event. But emotionally, like some of these guys for Tokyo, like the Summer Olympics, supposed to be, ramping up for their biggest sort of performance of their lives. The emotions and pressure and stuff that rolls with that is awesome, man. Like I fucking love that's what I thrive off. And then to just kind of have it taken away, oh no, you can't do that now. Oh man, it would be hell. It'd be hell for them. So man, winter athletes, so they don't even know if they're gonna have a season come October or whatever. Like, who knows, man? You can't sit here and plan in such a climate. You've just got to like have confidence in yourself that you handle whatever's coming and take that day by day step as you can. If you look too far into the future, you get caught and that can change. And then if you worry too much about the past, just sit there and create disease, man. But you do what you can day by day, you'll be fine. And I think every athlete right now is learning that lesson, whether it's summer or winter, is that they just got to be dynamic, trust their preparation, trust in themselves, and flow with how whatever's going on unfolds.
Yeah. So I follow you online and watch your videos and such, and I really love how you are just so calm and patient and serene with your daughter, man.
Yeah.
Like,
thank you, man. When you were going there with coaching, I was like, man, what videos you've been watching? I definitely, I'm a pretty high-strung athlete. I put a lot of pressure. I put a lot of discipline on myself.
Well, that's that's exactly why I went that direction, and
Did it
and
well, set me up, man.
yeah, because I mean, I can just tell, man, that you just want the world for that little girl, man. It's just
Sure, man.
it's really special to me, man, to just watch how you interact with your daughter, man. Like I mean, that girl's gonna be able to do whatever she wants to do, just like her daddy.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. I definitely take a different approach to parenting, a lot more. Just allow what they want to do and just kind of nurture and support, almost guide at a far away part, let them be themselves. And I enjoy that time, and I definitely prioritize that time with my daughter for that relationship, for her to be herself, just be you. In terms of coaching, though, people need a bit more of a tighter leash, and as it gets more and more, you start like this when they're new, and you bring it in.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying in respect to your daughter, man. Is you're just so kind and calm and everything, but like because of that, she just loves doing that stuff with you, man. You can just see it. I mean,
And she loves, like, just the amount of, like, adrenaline rush or whatever's going on, excitement in her riding her little bike around, or jumping off stuff, or being thrown in the air, or running. Like, latest thing is racing and running. She's only 2, and she gets down and does all the on your mark, set, go, and she gives it her all. She just loves it. And yeah, it's good to watch, man. It's great times.
Yeah, definitely. Cool, John. Well, I mean, we're hitting that hour mark. We lost a few minutes there, but hey,
Yeah,
that's how it goes. But I wanted to give everybody the opportunity, to look you up or whatnot, for business matters and such. If you care to put your information out there.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm working on websites and stuff right now. It's a new skill to me, but trusty old Facebook, John Farrow 27. That's my tag there. You hit me up on the page there, Instagram, John Farrow 27, and then yeah, man. Anyone feel free to reach out about anything. Have a chat and see what we can do.
Yeah, and I'm gonna in my edited video, aside from the live, I'm gonna have your information in there as well, visibly, so they can, people can come your way for that serendipity, man.
Thanks, Derek. You're a good man.
Yeah, for sure, man. I so appreciate you taking the time, man. It's like I get lost in it, man. I mean, like when I did the interview with Jason there, like it's a trip, man. It's like it's the cyber side of what I was experiencing out in California, just like when I was just green to, I mean, it almost felt like I was, on psychedelics or something, man, because my mind was just expanding so insanely, and now I'm getting to experience the other side of that, kind of similar to what you were talking about the national and the corporate thing, but I can't really break it down too intricately in respect to that. But yeah, it's a trip, man. My body, mind, and spirit is just going through the roof. I'm doing that rocket fuel, that kale, broccoli,
The green juice, man.
Oh yeah, man. It's off the hook, I'll tell you.
It's good, man. You keep following that vibe, and it won't lead you astray. It's when we start kind of thinking a little too much or trying to put logic to it. The body's kind of got its own little radar built in. We've got to trust it sometimes.
Yeah,
most of the time.
For sure. Well, right on, John. I look forward to talking with you again, and
Big brother.
Appreciate everything for sure.
Man.
Thank you so much, man. Okay.
See ya. All right, bro.
All right,
Bye.
Bye.